Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Market Close Report for Wednesday, the 5th of August. Well, what a day it was for Aussie stocks. In fact, we hit a fresh record high in the opening 10 minutes of trade. We're up as much as 0.75% on the open, and then the market faded for a while before then gathering some momentum all afternoon to actually finish at another fresh record high. We had the ASX 200 lifting 82 points or 0.9% to 9,227. So above the records that were last hit in February. So it's been quite an elusive level for markets. That means we're on a 4-day winning streak as well. And we've had a really encouraging start so far to the month of August. Of course, very early days with just 3 trading sessions, but still we're up about 2.8% in August so far, which means we're not doing quite as well as the American markets, which rose about 3.3% over the past 3 days. They've hit record highs as well. Some of Europe also at record levels. We actually had, but we're largely in line with how the German and French markets have done this month, and we're actually outdoing many other markets, including markets across in the UK, in Italy, in Hong Kong, in South Korea, and also in mainland China. Now, a number of catalysts at play here, but I think markets, for one, are encouraged with the fact that it seems like, for the time being, that tempers are cooling a bit in the Middle East. That has actually helped lower oil prices, and in turn, some of the market pricing as far as interest rate hikes are concerned in the United States. So all of these things typically are helpful for markets. Also, some encouraging results out of the United States with their earnings season, which they're more than halfway through now. We've got more than 80% of companies actually beating expectations with their earnings. So that also has been a helpful thing. Of course, a word of warning that we can always see the mood changing pretty quickly in this type of an environment where there has been a bit of additional volatility in markets. So just something to be aware of. But as far as what we saw across the sectors today, it was a bit of a mixed bag. We saw tech stocks lifting about 2.5%. The materials, though, those miners really stood out, lifting 3.5% as the US dollar's been a tad weaker. So that's been helpful for some commodities. We've also had some improvements coming through from healthcare, which is still one of the worst performers of the year so far, and industrials, which are up 1%. Outside of that, the big losers, unsurprisingly, energy stocks, which have fallen by around 2.2%, and that's because we had a pretty hefty decline of around 5.5% in oil prices last night, which have dropped about 11% over the course of the week. And that's, of course, because it seems like things are improving in the Middle East, or at least that's what the headlines are telling us, with talks potentially ongoing, and oil prices are sitting near their lowest levels now in about 3 weeks. So oil well below the peaks that were hit back in April, when concerns around the conflict in the Middle East were at their worst. Actually, prices are down about 40% from those peaks, for those wondering. Now, as far as the winners are concerned today, the standout was Neuren Pharmaceuticals. It rose by 16.3% today. Now, this morning it actually came out with a quarterly update, which included a 30% lift in sales for a key product, which was almost exclusively volume driven, according to the company. So selling more of the product rather than it having to do with a higher pricing of those products. It also flagged that it's on track to expand globally, and anticipates launching into Germany later on this year, as long as it gets the approval it needs from the European Commission. Elsewhere, we had Monadelphous lifting by about 1.1%. So it's on a 4-day winning streak now. It's up 14% this year. It was awarded a $200 million contract to do work for BHP, the world's largest miner, the largest stock on the Aussie market. Major construction in WA, which it said will start this year and will complete in 2028. And reminded that last week it also won a $165 million contract doing work for Rio Tinto. Light & Wonder lifting by around 4%. This is a global gaming technology company, amongst other things. It designs and manufactures poker machine games. 26% lift in quarterly sales profits were out today. And also Capricorn Metals, one of the best amongst the gold miners, 8.7% higher. So it's on a 3-day winning streak as well, 10% higher over that period. It's outperforming the broad gold subsector on our market as well, with gold prices rebounding in recent days. So the fact that market pricing for rate hikes in the US have dropped a little, generally helpful for a non-income producing asset like gold. Bonds, of course, typically pay out those regular coupon payments. Outside of that, there were a number of losers on the market. We had Woodside down in the order of 3.5%. The oil price decline played a part there and is catching up. But you've got to remember that Woodside actually rose 17% in July and is still up 35% year to date. So it's outperforming not only the broad energy sector since the start of this year by about 12 percentage points, but it's also lifting 6 times as much than the broader market since the start of this year as well. We had Endeavour falling about 1.4% today. It released some preliminary results, which the market didn't react that positively to. It included $372 million in impairments, which essentially means it's reducing the value of the carrying value of its assets as it undergoes a restructure. People have been spending a bit less on alcohol, and of course, Endeavour's the group behind BWS and also Dan Murphy's, and it owns something like 300 hotels and pubs across the country as well. Domino's Pizza down by more than 3%. Andrew Gregory has assumed the role as Chief Executive and Managing Director today. He was appointed as boss back in February after a global search, and he held senior leadership positions at McDonald's. Now, despite the drop today, it did lift around 7% over the prior 2 days, and it already responded quite positively on the day that the leadership change was announced back in February. And Commonwealth Bank down 1.4% ahead of its earnings, which are due next week, but all the major banks are also under pressure. So that was really a bit of a weight on our market. Now, if we look forward, tonight we do have an update on private sector jobs growth out of the United States for July, so that will be one to watch. Also, a relatively busy night for earnings in the United States. We're going to hear from Shopify, Disney, Uber, DoorDash, eBay, amongst others. So that's going to be a talking point in the coming day. Currency-wise, we've got the Aussie dollar sitting at about 70.1 US, so it's still hanging around that 70 US cent mark. It is also a touch stronger against the euro and the Japanese yen compared to where it was this morning. But overall, we have seen the currencies being a little choppy in afternoon trade. On that note, everyone, have a great evening. We'll have to see you tomorrow.